You're on the John Fredericks Radio Network and the John Fredericks Radio app. I am your Godzilla of the Truth in America, your Oracle of the Deplorables. The Godzilla Open America Tour continues. We're in Leesburg, Virginia today, in Northern Virginia. Thanks for joining us. Gary Higgins, your supervisor in Loudoun County. That was Caleb's seat. You ran for state senate against John Bell, got beat there. And now you're chairman of the...
We're currently running for the 10th District Congressional Chairman here in Northern Virginia, which is the seat that was held by Barbara Comstock. And I want to take some of the lessons I learned last year and put them to work to gain back Northern Virginia.
So you, at the convention, you want to be the district chairman of the 10th District?
Yes, sir. Okay,
the Republican district chairman. All right, Gary, I got that. Also with us is, I hope I say your name right, Ginny Grivis?
Yes.
Oh, I got that right. Ginny
Wow.
Grivis of Chefscape. She owns a commercial shared kitchen, and she is with us. She's a business owner. Backed by popular demand, Jen Bro of Jen Bro Vineyards here in Loudoun County.
You forgot wine.
Jen is with us. Pastor
Barnabas. You got it.
Come on, Barney. There's no way I can say that name. Say your name.
Schwanky. Yeah,
Schwanky. Okay,
Schwanky.
I got that. Pastor Schwanky is with us.
Good thing he didn't do the stammer.
Like, good Pastor Schwanky. I got all these names coming in. I like, do we have any John Smiths here?
Right.
And, of course, Colonel Mike is with us. Colonel, thanks for being with us. I really appreciate the help. I'm going to start with Pastor Schwanky. What is going on with churches and
No singing.
Sam Rasool, he wants Governor Northam to put an order in so that if you go to church, Pastor Schwanky, you can't sing. What is up with that?
Absolutely crazy. I don't understand. I mean, I understand the science behind when you sing and you articulate, you take a deep breath and you exhale, particulates into the air. But there is something about gathering together with God's people. One of the hallmarks of our church is congregational worship, singing praises to God. And from the beginning, it's been evident that the governor, especially here in Virginia, around the country, but here in Virginia especially, has really had it out for churches. And I know there's been a lot of small businesses that have been hurt, but small businesses don't necessarily have the same constitutional protections that we have as houses of worship to gather together. And we are very concerned about it. We have been since the beginning. And I know you heard from John Whitbeck earlier today, but we've been in conversation with him. And we're basically giving the governor an ultimatum here. We're going to be sending him a letter today and asking him to allow us to worship together this Sunday. And if he chooses not to respond, we're going to be taking a step of filing an injunction here next week against the executive order. And I'm asking a judge basically to allow us as a church to be able to gather again and worship.
All right, so when the order came down to continue to lock down Northern Virginia, which includes Loudoun County, that included churches.
It did.
So if you're in Chesapeake like me, I can go to church Sunday, haven't been there a while, up to 50 people or something of that nature, every other pew or something. I mean, I remember reading the order. But because you're in Loudoun County, you still can't hold a service.
We still can't hold a service.
So now we're going to sue them.
So now it goes back even before this all started. There should never have been a limitation on churches.
Right.
There could have been recommendations from the governor said, hey, we recommend that you don't gather, or we recommend that if you do, you wear masks, or there should have been recommendations and guidelines put in place. But you can't forbid the assembly of churches together. And that's been one of the hallmarks of Virginia way back even before the Constitution.
Why is it taking this so long? Why didn't you file this 2-3 weeks ago?
I think it's just we're trying to do the right thing. Trying to do the right thing.
But now you're done with it.
We're just said it's enough is enough.
Right, I get that. All right, I'm going to get to another business owner before we get to politics here. Ginny Grivis, owner of Chefscape. Ginny, here in Loudoun County, tell us about your business.
Well, we operate a commercial shared kitchen where we house about 50 different operations under our roof. So those are caterers, bakers, product producers, restaurateurs, anything that has to do with agriculture or health department. So those businesses have been completely crushed. So if you can imagine, that's 50 businesses within our business. And then in addition to that, we operate a very large bar. We have an event venue. We've got a stage. So I'm seeing the effects of this on not just our business and our member businesses, but the music community, the event community, everything in general when it comes to the amount of traffic. Yes, yeah. We have a 16,000 square foot space that is rendered practically useless at this point. We do have, carry out and delivery services that are being offered by those few members that we have, but the fear that has been instilled that has caused so many members to stay home is just, it's getting to the point of being ridiculous. And I know that this is a real issue. We get this, but it's incredibly divisive. We're pitting neighbor against neighbor at this point, and we can't continue to keep our heads in the sand here. We have to look at a better way to come out of this. We have to have a plan.
Jenny, you have 7 employees, but altogether there's about 200 people employed with this.
Absolutely.
That's a lot of
200
employees.
Yeah, and if not more. We would have been, we're in our second year of business, so we're still very new.
Wow.
But we were growing consistently, month over month. And we're seeing a new world order, right? Watch what's happening in the food and beverage industry. Even when we reopen, no one's coming back in the droves that they were before. So what's going to happen to all those restaurants? I mean, it was already a high failure rate to begin with, right? But now what's going to happen? So we have to be prepared for a completely different way of thinking of doing ghost restaurants, right? No more front space, no more brick and mortar, no more dining space. But we need a plan, is my entire point, is I'm tired of the fear, I'm tired of the bickering. We have to roll back from that and understand, well, what should the plan be, specifically for food and beverage, because that's obviously my industry, but it can apply to others, to really show us, okay, what can we do to regain the consumer confidence? It's going to take years. And this isn't the first round of COVID. This is going to come back, and there's going to be something else and something else and something else. So what are we doing to prepare for that for the future?
But you're paying rent or mortgage now?
We're paying rent, but it's a deferred rent, which is
Okay.
also angering, because all I'm doing right now is extending my lease.
And extending your debt. Right?
Extending
Because
my debt.
Lease is debt's money you have to pay at some point.
100%.
So they extend your lease out. Meantime, you got 7 employees. I assume you got the PPP?
We've not received our PPP.
Listen to that, John.
We've not received our PPP. We've applied, I don't even know how long ago, with my business partner who really spearheaded that. We've not received any relief from SBA. We only received the initial $10,000 deposit, and that was weeks ago, with nothing else after that. I can't even create a plan if I don't know what I have available for my resources.
Right.
So my hands are tied.
And the governor just told you 2 more weeks you're not going to be able to do anything.
Yeah,
Minimum.
nothing.
Minimum.
Right,
Right?
at a
It
minimum.
could go on beyond that. Meantime, you've got 7 employees. Are they laid off?
Yeah, they've been furloughed. They're on unemployment.
Right.
I tried to apply for unemployment. I don't even qualify.
Well, because you're a business owner, you don't get unemployment.
Yeah, I wasn't
so
even
you're
paying
out.
myself before, because as
Right.
most business owners, you start off sweat
Right.
equity.
You don't pay yourself, right? So
Right.
now you're not eligible for unemployment.
Right.
So how long can your business survive?
At this point, maybe to July. Maybe to July.
And then you're done.
Yeah. Because look at the margins in food and beverage.
Right.
They're slim to none.
Unbelievable. I mean, this, and then
He's
there's
torturing
absolutely
everybody.
you're given no voice, and the attitude of these politicians is, well, you got a loan, you got PPP, people that don't have businesses, run businesses, understand, but there's a lot of these Democrats basically, and I'm convinced of this, and I've been convinced of it, Ginny, and Gary and Jen for some time. Democrats hate small businesses because you
They
don't
vote
vote
for
for
Trump.
them.
They
You
don't-
don't give them money. You vote for Trump. You're capitalists. You're entrepreneurs. You're risk takers. You believe in free spirit and freedom. You're everything. You don't like the government involved in your business. You're everything they hate and despise. And so they're happy to see you go under and eat out of a garbage can that's better than the gulag. Jen, let's get to Jen. Bright is it's better than gulag. It's like you voted for Trump, you got him in there, and so now you're gonna have to suffer, and your business is going to go down the tubes. And too bad. You should have voted for us, Jen. You were talking about Jen, Pro with us from your vineyards. You were talking about a call to action this week. Elaborate on that.
Okay. Grassroots effort, I think that's what we've come to, right? So in order for us to have a voice, in order for us to peacefully protest, tomorrow from 9 to 12, if you believe that Loudoun County, Virginia, should be opened, you're invited to a peaceful flash mob to open Loudoun now. It's going to be from 9 to 12 at the Loudoun County Government Center. We invite you to make your signs, come and represent your business and your show what you believe in. Let's help get Loudoun open in a peaceful way that's going to be productive, and to show the governor, to show Phyllis Randall what we truly believe in, and that is opening Loudoun County for business now.
So when again, say the name of your. Is it a rally? What is it? A gathering?
It's a peaceful flash mob. It's just a sign of solidarity that we want Loudoun County opened. We're not
How
asking
many people you want there?
as many as want to come.
A peaceful flash mob. You
Peaceful
want a gathering
flash
of
mob.
people.
Gathering of people.
What amendment allows us to do that, Gary?
That would be the First Amendment.
Don't we have an amendment? Isn't that the First Amendment that says we can gather peacefully?
Right, and there is no amendments that I'm
Free
aware
assemblage?
of that allows you to abridge that.
Right. So under the First Amendment, you want a gathering on the steps of Loudoun County tomorrow. You want a lot of people there to basically let Phyllis Randall and the other so-called politicians who are trying to put you out of business because they're running for lieutenant governor and they need the badge of left-wing honor because they close people down. You want them to know that they're hurting their constituents, right? That's basically it.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And so you need to get the word out, and you need to get people that look. I'm going to encourage everybody. I've been on the road here for 3 weeks in this tour around the South. I'm going to Florida sometime next week. We have got to get out of our pajamas and stop this. And the only way you're going to stop it is by direct action. You having a rally tomorrow, Pastor Wacky suing the governor. I mean, if you don't do this, they're never going to stop. And this is the thing. We've submitted. This is complete submission. Our businesses have submitted. We've all submitted. We've all said, do to us what you need to do. Oh, great politician, let me kiss your ring. Have all the power you want. Keep me safe. Give me a mask. Right? We've allowed them to control our life, our livelihood, our businesses, how we worship. We got Sam Rasool saying, I want an order that says you can't sing. What the hell country are we in? I mean, at some point, you have to stop and stand up. And, I'm all for PPP. I'm all for Pete Snyder's 30-day fund. I'm for all this stuff. But at some point, if we don't fight back, they are going to continue to do this. And the reason, Gary, they're doing it is because we're not doing anything.
Yes, we need to light a fire under them. Lawsuits, demonstrations. They need to understand that while they may think this is for the good, I think it's mainly political, and we're cutting our own throats. I mean, Western Loudoun County employed in 2017 almost 18,000 people. Those people are all sitting at home with nothing to do, no revenue, no income, no revenue to the government. You've got other collateral damage. The businesses are closed. The jobs may be lost. What about mental health? What about drugs and alcohol? Kids can't go to school. Parents can't get their kids in daycare. Child abuse, spousal abuse, potentially suicide.
How about alcoholism, drug abuse?
It's
all coming.
Look at the sales of drugs and alcohol. It's going crazy. Those people are all going through the roof. There's nothing else to do. You see these things online. People are laughing about happy hours starting at 5 in the morning rather than 5 in the evening.
Yeah.
Right.
No, it's one of the things as a pastor. My job has not stopped, and a lot of it now is dealing with the consequences of this. People are depressed. People are struggling with alcoholism in our church and beyond, and it's one of those things that people just don't have answers to. And I try to point them to Christ and say the Bible has the answers, and it does. But it's really frustrating when you have the freedoms in our country to be able to worship God, and the government steps in and says, oh, we're going to suspend that right for the time being, and you don't have that ability to do this. And so I'm trying to tell my people, turn to Christ. He's the answer. Let's worship the Lord together, and we're not able to express that. And so that's one of the frustrating things that as we're going through this, and that's one of the reasons why we're taking the action that we're doing, and hopefully we're going to be able to get some answers here soon.
Well, look, the Republicans in Wisconsin took action,
That was awesome,
and they sued the governor, and they had enough. And they sued the governor, and they got a favorable Supreme Court ruling in Wisconsin yesterday afternoon that basically struck the whole thing down. And so now they have no restriction. So if you own a bar in Milwaukee right now, you can open up the doors, turn on the beer, you're good to go. The whole thing got struck down.
That's awesome. And I've reached out to several pastors that I know, probably 10, 15 pastors here in Northern Virginia, and nobody wants to touch it. And so I talked to John yesterday. I'm like, well, somebody's got to do it.
But see, that's the problem.
I know.
Let me get back to Ginny Grievous here. The problem, Ginny, is that nobody wants to step out, right? That's
Absolutely.
the problem. As a small business owner, take the crumbs, take the PPP, take the 10,000 EDL or whatever it is, take the loans, take the rent deferment, deal with it. But nobody wants to step out because, we're law-abiding citizens. We want to do the right thing. But now, Gary, the number, and Ginny, the number, the science and the data they keep telling us about doesn't add up to any of these things being shut down.
Not only doesn't it add up, but the goalpost keeps moving.
Yes.
We were going to
Right.
open up when the curve was flattened. Then it was going to be when there was a big decline in the number of cases. Then it was going to be when we look at how many people are hospitalized. I mean, what is the goal? How are we ever going to get open? Then I've heard people say we're going to open up when it's safe. What does safe mean? You can get run over going to the mailbox to get your mail. I know a friend that did.
It's subjective.
Safe, we live in a world that is not always safe. And people have good judgment. People will make the right call, and they're going to be careful. But we can't burn the neighborhood down to save it. And that's what we're in the process of doing. And so many of these people that get a paycheck and don't have to worry about, they're not in business, they're not working for somebody else in a situation that is small business, it doesn't bother them to stay
Sure.
home. But the rest of us don't have that blessing.
Well, and they'll never, Ginny, define a metric like there's a hot spot. What's a hot spot? Well, there could be a spike. We'll define a spike. Well, there could be a second wave. We'll define a second wave. Nobody will define that, and it's back to what Gary Higgins said. Well, you can go outside when we tell you it's safe. And, of course, that'll be November 5th when Joe Biden wins on mail-in ballots. Then you can go outside. Because that's their objective now is all politics. And unless people with courage get together, and I started this 3 weeks ago, going around the country and calling it out that the vaccine is Joe Biden, that the goal is mail-in ballots, and to get people dependent on the government so they can win and get power. And this has nothing to do with medicine, science, or anything else. It's now all about politics and power. And you're seeing it in your churches. You're seeing it in your businesses. You're seeing it in your vineyard. You're seeing with the consumer fear. All of this now puts the Democrats in an unbelievable position to gain power over your life. And we are sitting around doing nothing. That's the problem.
Government's being employed. Government employees are being employed.
Well, they get paid.
They get paid no
They get
matter
paid
what.
First and the 15th, that money
If
comes
you
wired
cut
in their
their
account.
money, it's a whole different story.
I got friends of mine right now, great people, work for the government, work for the federal government. Gary, you know many of them. Right now, they're sitting in their pajamas. They got slippers on in a bathrobe. Maybe at 12 o'clock they have a conference call. First and the 15th, money gets wired in. Life is good. For others, like Ginny yourself, that's facing bankruptcy in 60 days, not so much.
No, and I'm not seeing logic. I think that's really what we need. And I think we do have an opportunity here to create a bipartisan approach with logic. Because what's the biggest fear? The contagion, the contagious factor. That's what's keeping everybody indoors. Not necessarily the deaths, in my opinion. It's the contagion factor. So why don't we work backwards from that? And let's look at ways to combat that. This isn't the first or the last time, as I mentioned before, that we're going to have a communicable disease like this. But there's ways to combat it. There's air and there's surface. So why haven't we gotten together to take a look at, okay, great, let's bring together our HVAC leaders of the community and our sanitation leaders of the community, and what would you recommend in going forward to create safe environments? We should have that anyway. We should have it anyway. So let's create that and develop a plan, implement it, put it out there, and start to slowly regain the confidence back of these consumers that have been so scared to come out from underneath their beds.
Well, Ginny, they're not going to do that because if the economy comes back, that reelects Trump. So they're not going to do that. Do you understand? There's not a concerted bipartisan effort here like I thought it was when we started out to combat this. And part of the masks and part of this consumer fear and part of the people changing everything is they have to keep the economy tanked through November. If they can do that, they win. They win these swing states. Trump's out. Look, the Democrats have run the streets in Washington, in these big cities, like a mafia, right? I mean, they basically control the streets. Trump came in and he encroached on their territory. They're starting peeling pieces off the onion. You just saw what happened with Mike Flynn, the DOJ. They were freaked out because if Flynn was the national security director, well, he was a Democrat. He was there. He knew where all the bodies were buried. So they freaked out. They ousted him. I mean, it's incredible what is going on, and we're standing around letting it happen. But now I think we have to take action.